it's Reagan, and today I'm here to do a book tag video. I am doing the end of the year book tag, and this was created by Ariel over at Ariel Bissett. And this is a really great tag. It basically goes over kind of your plans for the end of the year, kind of reflecting back on what you have read, what your plans for the future are, because the year is, ending. The end is near. The fact that it's almost Thanksgiving is literally blowing my mind, and I'm filming this video and it's snowing outside. What is happening? But anyway, without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right in. The first question is, are there any books you've started this year that you need to finish? For me, the only book that I've actually started and haven't finished this year is the Romanovs by Simon Sebag Montefiore. This is a book I've been slowly making my way through, just reading a chapter here and there when I feel like getting a little history, Russian history moment in my life. I don't foresee me finishing this behemoth nonfiction book before the end of the year, but I didn't really have plans to, but I wanted to include it because this is my only work in progress book. I'm not generally someone who stops halfway through a book and picks up another one and not really finish, but I am technically reading this one slowly. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a really great nonfiction Russian history book. It has a little more juicy gossip secrets, which is fun. So this. Next question is, do I have an autumnal, or in my case, kind of like a winter read to transition me for the rest of the year? And I'm gonna go with The Doll Maker of Krakow by R.M. Romero. This is a historical fiction story following a doll that has been brought to life, and then she kind of has to go through World War II and the invasion of Poland. This book sounds harrowing. I love reading historical fiction, especially when it's cold outside, when there's a bit of ambiance, and I feel like snow, Polish story are gonna go really hand in hand. I've heard really great things. I hear it's really lyrical and beautiful and also rather harrowing. I really want to get to this book before the end of the year. The next question is, are there any upcoming releases that you're still anticipating and waiting for? For me, my main one and biggest one probably for the rest of the year is Witchwood by Tahera Mafi. This is the sequel to her first novel, middle grade novel, Furthermore, which I read last year and really enjoyed. It's a whimsical, magical story about a young girl traveling through a very bizarre magical land. I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it had a lot of creativity, and I'm really excited to see how that story grows into the next one, which comes out, I believe, next November 14th. I already have it pre-ordered and I can't wait to pick it up. The next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of this year? The books are actually on my November TBR, and one I'm currently reading. The first one does not have a dust jacket on because I'm reading it, and that is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. I don't know why I just looked at the spine, but I am currently 100 pages in this story. I'm loving it so far. This is the 3rd book to the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. Been flying through this book series, a huge fan. And honestly, right when I'm finished filming this video, I'm gonna pick this up and read some more. It's just an incredibly amazing story. Been talking about it nonstop, but I definitely want to read this book before the end of the year. Next on my list is The Naming by Alison Croghan. This is a book I picked up over the summer, actually right before I left Austin. And this was in a batch of books I wanted to reread, fantasy novels that I read growing up that I wanted to re-explore. And I did this same thing with The Thief. Fell in love with it, so I'm hoping to also fall in love with this story again and continue on with the rest of the series. They also got a recent cover redesign, which I'm a huge fan of. This is another more traditional fantasy setting, following our main character Mariad, who gets discovered and becomes a bard, and it kind of changes her life. I believe it has a lot of politics and fantasy and magic, all of my favorite things, and I'm really hoping to get to this book, and I'm really excited to see how my feelings maybe will change rereading it. And the last book I really want to get to this year for sure is Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstances. This is a literary fiction novel following it's like an homage to all of these fairy tales that we all read growing up. It's apparently incredibly nostalgic and just beautiful and whimsical. It's set and follows our main character, who is an orphan who's raised by wolves. I don't really know much more than that, but it just sounds like something right up my alley. I love folklore. I love things steeped heavily in this kind of magical and mystical setting, and I just really have a strong feeling I'm gonna like this book a lot. The next question is there still a book you think could be a sleeper and make your list of top books of the year? For me, this book has to be The Power by Naomi Alderman. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this book. My friend Monica recommended this book to me and it just sounded incredible. It's essentially an alternate history, fantasy sci-fi novel. It follows women who gain the power to electrocute people by touch. This story is written from the perspective of a male historian accounting the history of this and when this happened, what happened to the world. So it has a lot of different layers, especially dealing with gender dynamics, and it just sounds incredibly interesting and unique and nothing like I've ever read before, and I just I'm gonna get to this book before the end of the year, and I, again, have a very strong feeling that I'm gonna really, really like it. And the last question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2018? The answer, of course, is always yes, and my main one is Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I have been not reading this book for way too long, and it needs to change, and this is definitely gonna be top of my list to read in 2018, because I just can't not read it any longer. I'm a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson's series. The third book is coming out this month, and it just needs to happen. And I feel like 3 books into a series is the time to start because it kind of gives you momentum, but you don't have to wait as long for the whole thing to wrap up, especially when it's something like this that's gonna be 13 books long. I've heard incredible things about it. I get comments literally every day on every video, why haven't you read The Way of Kings yet? I'm gonna hopefully fix it in 2018 because it needs to happen. I need to read this, and I'm excited to read it. It's gonna be a great time. Alrighty guys, that is the end of the year book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below some books you really want to get to before the end of the year, as I would love to know. And I will see you soon with another video soon. Goodbye.